So everybody seen it? We can discuss spoilers?
I'm not gonna watch it, so, you guys can spoil it as much as you want.
Seriously, Marco, it's pretty good.
But he has like, what, 58 on Metacritic last time I checked? I just don't really watch anything below, I don't know, 70?
Come on, man, it's a Joker origin movie. They were supposed to have backlash and controversy. Go check the Metascore of Fight Club. It takes the edge out when everybody just agrees to enjoy one particular thing. Some people don't get nihilism, and their brain just got to put meaning everywhere, intentions. And then it feels political, it looks racist, sexist, or both. Then it seems to be, praising violence. Sure, it's interesting that the director of the Hangover trilogy would co-write and direct this film because, he's sick of having to care about offending people while making irreverent comedies. The themes of humor being subjective and people being intolerant for one another are indeed raised here, but Todd Philips didn't create Joker. Neither did he make the film wanting to encourage people to commit extreme violence. I loved it because it's uncomfortable. It makes you question things, see things from another point of view. For me, the Batman universe always was about exploring the questions of nature versus nurture, a victim becoming offender, and I couldn't have hoped for a better Joker origin story.
Seeing an offender as a victim is problematic for some, but you have to understand that's how people actually feel. That's what makes people dangerous. It's not a question of personal value, it's a fact. I love the idea of taking a grander than life character, portrayed many times, and making him feel more real than ever before by trying to stay clear of exaggerations. The setting is rooted in New York in the late 70s, so you feel like all this could have happened. He's just a poor guy with hopes and aspirations, smoking his cigarettes, taking care of his mother, taking the subway ticket to his jobs, and so forth. He gets beaten, sure, but it doesn't turn a full cycle in one shot. It keeps Nolan's trilogy's realism and darkness, but confined to a claustrophobic scale that grants it even more range. The gunshots have a weight to them. The murders actually matter here.
But holy shit, is Joaquin good. I don't know how many actors could give you an unsettling performance like he did. Creepy, yet so endearing.
I think that's the reason people feel the movie is dangerous. Because Joaquin embraces the darkness with such tenderness. You can't help but root for him. And the dancing is great, seriously. It communicates the evolution of his psyche so effectively. The laughs too, actually. At the beginning he pains, he tries to fit in, but finally at the end he sort of finds his laugh.
Have you seen his interviews at Jimmy Kimmel or David Letterman years ago? He's a troll master. He thrives when making people uncomfortable. But still, I refuse to say the movies is just him. The score is great, both beautiful and spooky, at times embracing the frame, at others intrusive enough to make it uneasy. The cinematography is dirty. The look from the late 70s make it feel distinct and somehow more scary even, for some reason. I love the costumes and the makeup, how it evolved, and the fucking scene with Rock and Roll Part 2 in the stairs.
And even the scene after when he manages to escape in the subway, it felt like that first scene in The Dark Knight, remember? Like he's somehow gracefully playing the piano in a mayhem, or the universe is starting to care about him. Just when he starts changing for the worse, it's very nihilist.
So many great scenes, man. When he's sitting at home and tries to master his Murray Franklin apparition. He's a mess, but he's finally getting his act together when he has nothing left to lose.
It's so charged, yet played with so much truth. The first murders on the subway with just the right amount of flashing lights, and the scene at Murray Franklin's studio.
I think my favorite moment, at least the one that stays with me the most, is right after he kills Murray.
Yeah, I know, nothing happens.
Surreal yet so dark. Then he goes to talk to the camera and it stops broadcasting. I feel like they were just making fun of all the scenes in movies where the villain delivers a message on national television and yet somehow nobody in production turns it off.
And that is precisely what I liked most about it, how nuanced it actually is. Nothing is obvious, there's hope in that film. There's humor too, and that's why I think the illusions he has is a great thing for that movie. What did you think of them?
Yeah, they're great for a number of reasons. First, it makes the descent into insanity more natural because even though things seem shitty for him, they don't feel like supervillain origin story shitty. They just feel poor people living in New York with super rats in 1979 shitty. Also, they add some warmth to the movie, adding to that range we talked about. But most of all, when you do realize what is happening, you don't feel cheated on because after all, it doesn't really change anything.
Yeah, it's not a mind-blowing Tyler Durden moment. It's just like, yeah, the guy's sick and he's depressed and he needs to imagine that shit. Hell, I imagine stuff like that all the fucking time. I love how his mental health is depicted, how it's played. It's graceful.
What did you think of the ending?
At first, I thought it was too long. Ending it with the ambulance hit the police car would have given just enough to imagine what happens next. And no need to actually show for the 100th times the murder of the Wayne parents. But what comes after did look great. The, Jesus Christ moment, the bloody smile, sort of ironic homage to his abusive adoptive mother. And the you wouldn't understand line, too.
Do you think it was a fantasy though?
Ah, it doesn't matter.
Why not?
It's just like, was he or not Thomas Wayne's son? At the end, I guess just the possibility that he could be, but that he couldn't even know for sure, is what matters. When you can't control a thing, I guess it's better not to care anymore. What was real? Well, even if it happened only in his head, then it is real because the Joker is real. The outcome is the same, and the impact on the viewer is the same.
It's also a great device to make sure it doesn't contradict any other Joker origin story. Hell, maybe he isn't the Joker. He's too old, isn't he? I think you're right. These questions might not really matter after all. What matters is the impression of going through a madman's journey. An unreliable narrator for sure. You could have imagined the whole thing. I mean, we know he was at Arkham before, and we see him locking his head against a window there. Throughout the whole movie, he's basically knocking his head around glass all the time. In the phone booth, at the hospital, remember? Or it's like sitting in the bus or the train.
Yeah, but then why would the neighbor be scared of him midway through his own story?
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna go piss.